The 9th movie on my list that is considered bad according to the internet and is out of the list of movies that I have already seen. The movie is called The Angry Birds Movie. Year 2016, directed by Clay Kaitis and Fergal Riley. And so the story of this movie follows Red, the main character, who is basically a red bird with a bad temper, who also lives on a peaceful island where most of the birds are carefree and happy. But because of Red having anger issues, he is now sent to anger management class, led by a bird named Matilda, where Red also meets other misfits birds. Speedy yellow bird Chuck, explosive bird Bomb, and huge red bird Terrence. And Terrence's character design and his reputation of being intimidating and being mysterious is what's quite interesting. But anyways, while the birds of this island live without conflict, a group of mysterious green pigs suddenly arrive on the island, led by the mysterious and suspicious and charming King Leonard. He was able to convince the birds to welcome them, trust them, but Red believed there was something wrong with them and tries his best to warn the birds on the bird island. But unfortunately, nobody believes him. However, Red, Chuck, and Bomb eventually discovers that the pigs are secretly planning to steal all of the birds' eggs on the island. The pigs later on escape to Piggy Island. The birds finally believed Red was right all along. Red organized the birds to fight back and use a giant slingshot to attack Piggy Island, like what you see in the mobile games. In the battle, the birds won and destroyed Piggy Island and was able to recover their stolen eggs. The King Leonard escaped, but in the end, Red was celebrated as a hero. And so the lesson here is that there is some type of value of anger when it is used for good, I guess. And also there was another character, Mighty Eagle, that was shown in the movie who is supposed to be legendary protector of Bird Island. Later it turns out he is lazy and selfish in the beginning, but towards the end he later helped out and does try his best to showcase some bravery, but it also showcases that sometimes we have to be our own heroes ourselves instead of waiting for someone else to save them or us. Which is a very nice and encouraging message, but now let's take a look at the 3 main reasons why this movie is bad according to the internet.
According to the internet, the movie The Angry Birds Movie has 3 main weaknesses. Number 1, a thin storyline. Number 2, over-reliance on slapstick. And number 3, one-note characters. Now back to you.
Now, the first one being thin storyline is the first reason why this movie is bad according to the internet. But can we just first say this movie is more originally from a mobile game? So to me, it is at least impressive that they made at least a story out of this. Now, is it a deep story? No, but they did make a movie out of a game, which I believe is very hard to do. Usually a lot of movies are made and created based on books and novels because there is some dialogue and storytelling that the material can be used for the movie. However, this movie had to invent a full narrative story from a basic premise. So as a result, the parts of the plot feels a little bit stretched and sometimes slows the pacing. It may seem like it doesn't add too much depth. Feel a little bit simple, but again, creating a strong narrative momentum from a game where it's launching birds to hit and destroy some of the pigs and its buildings, it's to me fine and okay so far. I mean, they kind of used what they got and whatever leftover thing that they were able to use to produce. And I don't know what kind of backstory can this movie story bring. Maybe they could have expanded more of the Bird Island, give different arcs to Chuck, Bomb, or even Terrence. I am curious, want to see what Terrence has done in the past. Maybe that could add a little bit more story building. Also, for the Mighty Eagle, his backstory on what did he do, why did he become so lazy, was there something that happened in the past, and how did he become the Mighty Eagle? Maybe showing that could add more interest. And also maybe adding more layers to the villain's plan. Maybe how these green pigs developed in the past, their history. I mean, they could have added maybe more stuff to it, or the story of this movie. Even though they had very little to work with, imaginations and creativity can expand in some way, shape, or form. So for this one, I would have to agree. The second reason why this movie is bad according to the internet is being over-reliance on slapstick. But for this reason, slapstick is my jam for the most part. But a large portion of the humor relies on physical comedy, which can make it more predictable or repetitive. And also there's no clever dialogue or situational humor, and also it's very fast-paced. So it goes along with the idea of Angry Birds. So for me personally, I would have to disagree because this comedy matches with the source material and its fun energy. And it's not too bad. The pacing might be a little bit off for some people, but not to where it's considered too long, I think. The direction is what needs to be given with the source material of what little there is. The third and last reason for this movie is the one-note characters. Many characters displayed on this movie are simple traits. Based on each of the simple traits are based on completely from the game. So basically I can't be too harsh on it. Of course they don't develop beyond that. The red bird Red having anger issues, the yellow bird Chuck being hyperactive with speed, Bomb just explodes whenever he's nervous, and Terrence being intimidating. Of course these characters can have deep and deeper personalities or have even meaningful character arcs, and they are not that emotionally complex, but visually they can be very memorable, and I think that could be the good part. So again, the creators I think had very little resources or references to work with, so in my eyes this is kind of good enough. It felt sort of similar to the Emoji Movie of its limited amounts of resources and references, but I think here it represented a little bit more better. This movie was kind of straight to the point, where I feel the Emoji Movie was kind of all over the place, whereas this movie has a coherent adventure and the characters are more likable and slightly more entertaining. So for the third and last reason for this movie, I would have to disagree.